Hello, everyone. We finally got the government to shut down. Okay, so now that the federal government shut down, question comes: what are we going to do about it? How are we going to take advantage of this situation? Okay, so the most important thing that we can do, our primary goal, is to keep the Democrats fighting each other. Okay, so within the Democrat Party, there's a huge gap between their far left and their center. Okay, that gap is much wider uh, by than what we see in the Republican Party between, I guess, the centralists in the Republican Party and the far right. I mean, I can't even define what far right is in the Republican Party. I don't know. Is it the people that go to church every weekend? Are they like far right versus, let's say, me? I go to church like, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 times a year. Does that make me a moderate? Or is it because I'm like, in favor of absolute gun rights without exceptions, that now I'm far right? But the people that are like, oh, maybe felons shouldn't have guns. Maybe those are now the moderates in the Republican Party. Because my position is that, hey, if you're safe enough to be on the street, you're safe enough to have a gun, and if you're not safe enough to have a gun, you shouldn't be on the street. Okay, so that's my position. So it gets confusing on our side, right? Because again, there's not that big of a gap, and then if like I can sit down and pretty much talk to almost any Republican, whether they be like super religious or whether they have views where they want some gun control. I can sit down and I can talk rationally to them without like like turning red, and getting like super angry. Democrats can't do that. Okay, Democrats are like super extreme, so their far left really can't, like, they can't tolerate the center. Okay, the reason why this shutdown happened is because the last time, a couple of months ago, Schumer was willing to basically compromise with Republicans and go along with the continuing resolution, right? And the far left got extremely angry with him and have been not just threatening to primary him, but they have been mobilizing to primary him. Okay, so Schumer took the position that, hey, maybe even if it's not good for the Democrats to shut the government down, he said, hey, if I don't go along with this shutdown that the far left wants, okay, what's going to happen is that he's going to lose his job. So that's the reason why Schumer went along with this government shutdown. So they're coming up with like they have the most extreme demands. Basically, they want to give free health care to illegal alien invaders. So stuff like that, like super extreme stuff that is like absolutely impossible for Republicans to go along with, and I wouldn't want them to go along with. But my feeling is that sooner or later, Schumer's gonna come around, okay, and he's gonna sign on to this continuing resolution, which is the same thing that he agreed to, that he signed on to just a few months ago, okay. So again, he's now taking the position that the bill that he agreed to a few months ago is no longer any good now. Okay, so that right there tells you that he's very wishy-washy on this. He's pretty much stuck doing things that he really doesn't want to do. Okay, so this is where, like, we put the pedal to the metal, and we try to take as much advantage of this opportunity as possible. And number one is keep those Democrats fighting each other. Keep telling Schumer, hey, if you sign on to this continuing resolution, you're bowing down before Trump and you're kissing his feet, right? That's the thing we got to keep telling Schumer, and because that's what keeps them fighting. So while this thing's in place, while this government shutdown is in place, we can start making some demands, because the bill to open up the government doesn't have to be a continuing resolution. It could be something completely different. And this is something that Schumer was very much aware of. He was like, if we let this government shut down, okay, what's it going to take to open it back up? Okay, well, that's where we are now. Okay, this is what it's going to take to open it back up. So while all this is going on, Trump's going to start firing, or his secretaries are going to start firing all the non-essential government employees, which shouldn't be there in the first place. Okay, if there's a snow day in Washington D.C. and they're telling people don't come in if you're, if you're not essential, well, those people shouldn't be there in the first place. So this is an opportunity to just fire them all, fire them immediately. The good thing here is that the courts have shut down. So Judge Bozo, they can't go running to him for injunctions and stuff like that because the courts have been shut down. The government shutdown means that Trump, gets to decide what is essential and what is not essential, and he gets to direct his secretaries that run the different agencies, departments, what's essential and not essential. So we're in the best place that we could possibly be. So the first thing to do is fire all those non-essential employees that are basically sabotaging Trump from the inside, right? They all got to go. Now, in order to open this government up, the bill that's going to be written has to basically take this into account. So these firings need to be made permanent, and they need to be written into the bill that opens up the government so that it can't be disputed in court once the government opens up. Okay, so all these things need to be written into that bill that opens up the government. So fire all the non-essentials, write it into the bill. Okay. Next thing, while the government shut down, basically we turn up the speed dial on the mass deportations. Okay, get all those illegal alien invaders out of the country. Forget about flying them out of the country. Put them on cargo ships and just get them out by the thousands. Okay, get them out. And I've said this before. I come from a family of immigrants, okay, but we came here legally, okay. So you'll find that most people that immigrate into this country legally cannot stand people that jump the line and come here illegally, okay. So that's what you're going to find among the immigrant population that has come here legally. So mass deportations, load them up into the cargo ships, get them out by the thousands, because there's about 30 million that we got to get out of this country, okay. And this needs to be written into the bill, okay, so that when the government opens up, Judge Bozo can't come along and say, hey, bring all those people back in, okay. So this has to be written into the bill so that it is law, and, if the Democrats don't agree to it, then the government doesn't open up, okay. So here's the thing, Democrats tend to be a lot more dependent on government than us, okay, so I don't need government, okay. Democrats tend, because that's the thing with Democrats. Again, this goes back to getting the Democrats to fight amongst themselves. You got the far left that says, don't negotiate with Trump, don't make any deals with Trump, so that's one side of the Democrat Party, and then you got the other side that is like, hey, keep that milk money coming, okay. So the people that are sucking off the tit of government, they're saying open up the government, right? These are all Democrats. Those Democrats saying open up government. The far left is saying don't make any deals with Trump. These two people have to keep fighting each other. We gotta get them to destroy each other. Okay. So next on this list, the permanent shutdown of USAID. Okay. Again, it's been defunded, but we have to canonize this, right? We got to get this actually written into law, right? Into this bill that just completely does away with that agency, so that some future president couldn't, some future Democrat president, right, couldn't start up USAID. And the important thing about this is USAID is what was funding, one of the things, the main thing that was funding the Democrats, right? So basically, a lot of these donors that were giving money to the Democrat Party, well, they were getting government contracts through USAID. Okay, so all these, these backdoor deals, backdoor avenues that exist for the government to fund the Democrat Party, they all have to be shut down. Okay, the other thing, that's separate from this, but one of the great things that's also happening is the George Soros Foundation. I think it's the Open Source Foundation, something like that. His company is being investigated. that investigation has to keep going, okay? Because again, that's something that's been funding the Democrats. The George Soros money that's been funding the Democrats, funding the riots. And the good thing is that those two are connected, right? The same organization that funds the riots also funds the Democrats. So once you establish that connection, now you're bringing in RICO charges and stuff like that. So you shut the whole thing down. You shut down the whatever's funding the riots. You're also shutting down the thing that's funding the Democrats. Okay. So yeah. Where are we? Okay. Oh, this is also a great opportunity to reorganize the federal courts. Okay, these courts that have been weaponized against the Trump administration. Into this bill, they can also work in reorganizing the way these courts function. Okay, it's been done before. This would be a good time to do that again. So, and lastly, okay, and this is the thing that I guess matters the most to me personally. Get the suppressors and the SBRs out of the NFA. Okay, we tried to do that on the last bill that went through. We managed to get the $200 tax stamp removed. Right, that's effective January coming up. But we gotta get them out completely. Okay, Democrats have already attempted to raise that tax, not back up to $200. They've already submitted a bill to raise the NFA tax up to like $5,000. Okay, that's their mindset. And fine, yeah, they're not going to do it now while Trump's president, but down the road, if they ever get a Democrat president, they're going to do it. They're going to raise, that tax, which was $200, has now gone down to zero, is going to jump up to $5,000. So the way to deal with that is to have the suppressors and SBRs completely removed from the NFA. That's something that's kind of fresh on everybody's mind. The Republicans started this. They need to finish this. They need to get the suppressors and the SBRs out of the NFA. If these things don't happen, there's no reason to open up the government. There's no reason to agree to anything with Democrats. We can keep running the government like this indefinitely, where Trump basically decides what's an essential service and what's not an essential service. So he's running the important part of the government. And in the meantime, the Democrats are at each other's throats. All right, so that's a pretty sweet place to be. So yeah, no rush to open up the government. Okay, but if it's gonna open up, I want stuff, man. I want stuff for us, particularly the suppressors and the SBRs out of the NFA. Oh, and drop some comments. It helps the algorithm.